we're going to show you a real workout today. A lot of you have been asking about taking someone through, and today we've invited Judy to come in and we're going to take her through the quick set system. Now in a couple of weeks I'm going to go through the core program and I'm going to exclusively use the quick set system, and you'll watch me go through my workout. Today we're going to take Judy through, and I think you'll find it entertaining as well as educational. In addition, remember early in the series we talked to you about some of the information we wanted to give you about nutrition. Today we're going to show you what I think is the most important concept about nutrition, and that's nutrient density. High nutrition and low calories. And we're going to do that in my own kitchen where I'm going to cook lunch for you. Welcome to my kitchen. We just left the gym and I was talking to you about nutrient density. What we're going to talk about now are the components of nutrition, and there are 6 of them. But I thought a better way to do that is to show you an actual food. These are some of the foods that we're going to be using in upcoming episodes, and I'm going to be cooking some of these for you today. Hopefully you'll be able to share in that with me. If you're looking for protein, which is the component that most people talk about in nutrition, there are lots and lots of sources of protein. For example, we have some fillets of fish, very high in protein, great for omega-3 fatty acids, and very low in calories. So we have that nutrient density thing going for us. Lots of nutrients, not very many calories. Here's some lean chicken breasts, one of my favorite foods. Here are some very lean cut pork chops, very high in protein, and depending on the cut, very low in fat. Now, the second component that we mostly talk about in nutrition is carbohydrates. Many people are afraid of carbohydrates because they think it drives up their caloric count. Well, that's because they're concentrating on simple carbohydrates, lots and lots of sugar. We're going to show you how to avoid that a little bit later. But it's the complex carbohydrates that should make up most of your nutrition. Here we are. Here's some examples. Vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, potatoes, tomatoes, and fruits like apples and bananas. All of these foods in the proper proportions can get you all the carbohydrates you need. These are complex carbohydrates that give you high nutrition, low calories, and lots of fiber. Now the third component of nutrition that actually provides calories, aside from protein, carbohydrates, is fats. Now fats are an essential nutrient. A lot of people are afraid of fats too, but fat should be a regular part of your diet, but it should be a very small part. No more than about 25% of your diet should come from fats. For example, in the pork that I just talked about, there's a small amount of fat here. We want to keep that at a minimum, but we still need fats in our diet. Now there are 3 other components of nutrition that we need to talk about. One of them is water. We all need lots and lots of water every day. It doesn't necessarily have to be, though, in the form of plain old H2O, although that's a great way to go when you're exercising. Now the final 2 components of good nutrition, of getting all the components we need, are vitamins and minerals. Now I can't show you a vitamin and mineral, but I can tell you with all the foods we've shown you here, from the bowl of nuts to the meats, fish, and pork, to the vegetables, to the fruits, you're going to get all the minerals and vitamins you need by eating them in a balanced way. Remember I mentioned before, we want your diet to be sustainable, foods that you really like to eat so you can eat it all the time. We want it to be balanced so you get the right nutrients at the right time, and we want it to be flavorful. Now for those of you who don't eat a lot of meat as a main source of protein, here's another suggestion. I've got a bowl of black beans. I've got another bowl of brown rice. Now watch what I do with that. A real simple way to get a complete protein and not have to worry about meat is taking beans and taking rice and mixing them. Beans and rice make a complete protein. And if they're prepared in the right way, and I'm going to show you a way in just a minute how to do that, you're going to have a flavorful, high protein meal that's low in calories. And we now have a complete protein for those of you who don't wish to eat meat. And I'm going to show you a flavorful way to do that just a little bit later. Now, as you can see, good nutrition doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be tasteless in order to be good for you. And in upcoming shows, we're going to show you lots of ways to incorporate good nutrition into your fitness program. But let's get started on cooking a meal right now. Let me cook you lunch. Well, the pan's hot, and we're going to take some of the protein, the chicken breast in this case, and all the carbohydrates, the vegetables, and we're going to put them together into a really great meal. So the pan's hot, we're going to get going here. I'm going to add just a tablespoon of olive oil, and we have to start with the chicken. So let's pour that in, and let's get it started. You have to do the chicken first because it takes a little bit longer. The pan's at not quite high level. And I'm going to show you another way in just a minute how to cook without using as much oil. Now remember, oil, this particular oil is a good oil, but oil is also considered one of the fats, one of those essential nutrients. I always use olive oil or canola oil because it's a much better way to cook, and it's very high in the good fat that we need. I'm going to cover that over, and as soon as we're done with that, we're going to add a few more ingredients. Okay, the chicken is just about done, so now we can start to add some of the other ingredients. First thing I'm going to do is to add a little bit of flavor. We're going to take about 3 or 4 ounces of apple juice. Doesn't that sizzle sound great? And it's a great way to flavor the chicken. That way you don't have to use sweet things like sugar, which a lot of people cook with. In addition, I know this sounds like a strange combination, but we're going to put a little bit of pepper. And one of my favorite ingredients, garlic. The garlic in, and we'll stir that around a little bit. Now the chicken was cooked almost all the way through. That only took about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. We have to leave the vegetables at the end because they're going to cook a lot faster. Now, time to add our onion. This is about 3 or 4 ounces of red onion. I think that's about enough. Stir that in. This is where we're going to get a lot of the flavor, so I'm going to cover this for just about 30 seconds to a minute and get some of the flavor to cook in. Okay, we've cooked down a little bit with the apple juice, so now we have almost some caramelization going on. You can see that with the color of the chicken. Now we're going to add some of the other softer ingredients like the vegetables. Remember the cauliflower we saw? Well, here it is. It's about 3 or 4 ounces of cauliflower. I chopped up a little bit of that beautiful green broccoli you saw just a little while ago, one of my favorite vegetables. And for some more color, we're going to put in some green pepper. This is sort of roughly diced. Now, remember, this is a recipe for 2 people. If you're cooking for 4, well, double the recipe. But it's going to be an awful lot of food, and I think what you're going to find, when I tell you how many calories this is, I think you're really going to be amazed. It's not going to be very many. Now, because we're starting to get a little bit dry here, now's the time to add another ingredient to keep it liquid. But we don't want to add butter or margarine or more oil. Here's one of my secrets. Now this is fat-free, low-sodium chicken broth. I always cook with chicken broth because first of all, it's a low-fat way to cook. It's very flavorful, and I always get a low-sodium kind. That way, I reduce the amount of salt that I bring in. We're going to let this simmer for just a little bit, maybe about a minute or 2, covered and then uncovered. Then I'm going to add one last ingredient, then we're going to eat. Okay, we've cooked it down just a little bit. We don't want it too soupy. I'm going to add one last ingredient. Remember the black beans? Well, here they are again. I'm going to take about 3 or 4 ounces of black beans. And you're going to see how we're going to put this in combination with one of the other ingredients we talked about to make a complete protein. Now I put the beans in last because they cook really fast. They're very, very soft, and if we had put them in earlier, they might have turned to mush. So we want to make sure they're nice and sort of al dente. I'm going to cover that for just about a minute. Okay, we've let that cook down for just about a minute. You can see the beans are still really full and plump. They're not all mashed down. And we've got ourselves lunch. I'm going to take this and pour it into the bowl. Remember, this is a recipe for 2, and you notice I didn't use any salt as an ingredient at all because there was a little bit of salt in the chicken broth. And if you'll follow me, lunch is served. Here we are for lunch. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Paul.
I'm doing great. Thanks for serving the rice. Judy's already served the brown rice. Now, remember I mentioned to you that we added beans in the mixture because now with the beans and the rice, for those of you who don't want to worry about having the chicken meat or any other type of meat in a mixture like this, you still have a complete protein. Now, Judy, I think you're going to love this. This is one of your favorite foods, I know. It's a little bit myself. I like the combination of colors here with the green and the black. Now, I use brown rice. I prefer brown rice over white rice. Both are fine. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. Now, this particular dish is a dish for 2, and you see how much is left over. If Judy and I had split this entire thing, we only have about 425 calories per serving, and we're only eating a portion of that. Portion sizes are a big part of keeping your weight under control. So you don't have to eat all of it. In fact, if I wasn't lucky enough to have Judy joining me for lunch, I would have put it in a container, put it in the refrigerator, and had it for lunch tomorrow. So you can always save a little bit. And the iced tea, cheers, is unsweetened iced tea, but I sweetened it up a little bit with about 3 or 4 ounces of apple juice. Instead of having 37 grams of sugar in typically sweetened tea, 11 grams of sugar. So we've got a 425 calorie meal with only 11 grams of fat. And even the tea tastes great. I'm digging in. Thanks for joining us. Now, as soon as I'm finished lunch, we've got a lot more to do. So let's head back to the gym. I've asked Judy to stop by and work out with us today. Now, we had lunch just a couple of hours ago, but I think she'll be fine for our workout. I've asked Judy, since she's worked out with us before, what muscle group she wants to be able to work with today. So Judy, what do you think we ought to do?
Well, I'd really like to work out the core program,
okay,
so that I could incorporate that into my own workouts and therefore have more time for the rest of my life.
Well, that's a great idea. So how about if today we work on your chest, upper back, and shoulders, and then do some hip and leg work, and we can use a variety of equipment right here around the gym.
That sounds great.
Okay, let's finish up your warm-up. You've been doing about 9 minutes so far?
Yes,
Let's do about another minute, and then we'll head back out on the floor. You know the methodology, up under control and back down under control. So let's begin. Ready? Let's go.
Alrighty.
Up under control, down slowly under control. Excellent. Up under control, slowly under control. That's good, Judy. Now, as you get closer and closer to fatigue, we're going to have you take those dumbbells back down, put them on the side of the bench, and then we're going to ask you to pick up a set of dumbbells that's about 20 to 25% lower. That's about number 6. Okay, you're starting to get a little fatigued?
A little bit shaky.
Okay, now as you'll see, when she starts to feel a little bit fatigued, we know that all the muscles that can be recruited are being recruited now. And we don't want to go too much beyond that. You can see she's starting to struggle with it just a little bit, and she's right in between that 8 to 12 repetition range. Let's try one more, Judy. I'll help you up with it. Okay, there we go. All right, now bring them back down to the starting position. Go ahead and sit up.
All right.
Okay, now she's going to put those down, put them down to the side, Judy. She's going to pick up a set that's about 20% less. Usually the drop is about 25 to 30%, but with dumbbells it's a little more difficult to do that. And I'd like you to begin training right away. Now you see, she's already completed 10 repetitions. I believe she completed 10 in this particular case to momentary fatigue. That's between that 8 and 12 repetition. I'm going to record the amount on the dumbbell, and I'm also going to record the number of repetitions she did right on her card. You're going to see me doing this in a couple weeks when I go through the quick set system. I'm going to be using slightly different exercises though. Now you notice that even though she had fatigued with a slightly higher dumbbell, this one is about 20% lower and it's already starting to fatigue her again. So less weight is doing more work, and she's starting to get a really good workout out of that chest. How's that feel, Judy?
It feels really good.
You can really tell you're getting a workout, aren't you?
Yes.
And you don't have to use heavy weights. All right, let's come back down under control. All right, now go ahead and sit up again. I'm going to ask you to put those dumbbells down, make sure they're out of the way. She's going to pick up a set that's about 20% lighter than that one, and what she'll find out is that this is even going to represent a pretty good challenge. There you go. See, even though they're much, much lighter than what you started with, they still are challenging your chest and your triceps. Do you feel that?
Actually, I already do.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea of the quick set system, making less weight do more work. Now, as soon as we finish the chest, we're going to move on to the back. I've got an exercise that's one of my favorites. Let's head over there. Okay, Judy, let's have a seat on the machine. This is a pullover machine. This is a machine that will isolate Judy's upper back. You're going to be seeing me work on my upper back in a couple weeks, but I'm going to be using different exercises. Now, we've already preset Judy's seat so that the axis of rotation hits right near the center of her shoulder. That is the center of rotation as she does the exercise, and this is a machine that isolates her upper back. We've also chosen a weight that she can do about 8 to 12 times to momentary fatigue. We've already set that. So Judy, I'm going to ask you to push down on the pedal. You can see as she does that, the pads appear next to her elbows. She puts her hands on the rails, using them only as guides, not to pull. Now release at the pedal, Judy, and force down with your elbows. Now you see, as she comes down, it is the resistance against the back of her arm that takes the resistance of the weight stack up and drives the weight down into her upper back. Now she'll do 8 to 12 repetitions to momentary fatigue, and as soon as she does that, we'll reduce the weight. All right, that's 8. Now, Judy, you starting to feel a little fatigued there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I can start to feel it in the arm bar. That's 9. Let's see if you can do at least one more. Okay, down, down, under control. Good. She just barely got that one. Okay, Judy, I'm going to ask you to put your foot back on the pedal. Feel it till it catches. There you go. Now bring your elbows out. Now, she just fatigued at about 10 repetitions. I'm going to reduce the weight by about 25 or 30% on the weight stack. Judy, I'm going to ask you to re-grasp the machine. She's going to push down the pedal, and immediately she's going to begin to redo the exercise. Now, on her card, I'm writing down the amount of weight on the weight stack and the number of repetitions she did in just the first set, and that was 10. I don't have to record the second set because I already know that it's preset. Now, Judy's going to continue to lift, and you can see she's at about 3 or 4 repetitions. Starting to feel fatigue again, aren't you, Judy?
Alrighty.
Now, this is only about 75% of what she was using just 60 seconds ago, and she already feels some of the force into her muscles. So we're making less weight, do more work again, and we'll do it one more time. We'll do one more reduction. Now, remember, Judy's been training for a while, so we can go right into the quick set system. Those of you who haven't been training for a while need to do just one set of each of the exercises that you do to start your core program. That's good, Judy.
All right.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, that's all. Go ahead and regrasp. We just finished using the quick set system to train your upper back efficiently on the pullover machine. Now we're going to train your shoulders, which is the smallest of the upper body muscle groups. We're going to do that using upright rows, and we're going to use dumbbells instead of barbells. So go ahead and grasp the dumbbell. I'm going to put the first one on your card as the top one. Now in this particular exercise, I want you to lift the dumbbell up rather slowly, under control, pause. Now take it back down slowly, under control. That's it. Now I'm going to stand behind. You're going to bring it straight up and then straight down under control, a little bit more slowly. That's it. Feel the stretch at the bottom. Up under control, back down slowly under control. You're starting to feel it here in your shoulders?
Yeah.
Here we go. And you can see by moving the weight, moving the resistance a little bit more slowly, you can make the muscles do a lot more work with a lot less resistance. So we train the muscle without hurting the underlying skeletal system. Okay, you're starting to get a little bit close to fatigue here.
Oh, I can feel that in my shoulders.
Okay, looks like you've got a couple more in you. Go ahead and try 1 or 2 more, and you tell me if you're starting to fatigue. That was a little difficult, wasn't it?
Yeah, I could feel it.
Let's see if you can do 1 more. Up under control. Okay, back down to a stretch. All right, now let's put that dumbbells down to the side. Pick up the set in front of it. This is about 20% less, and continue the exercise. As you can see, she got to about 8, 10, maybe 12 repetitions with her first set, and now she's completing the second set using an amount of weight that's about 20% less.
It's just so amazing that I can feel it.
Back down under control.
Just on the 3rd or 4th.
That's right. She's only done 3 or 4 repetitions. She's already starting to feel a significant amount of fatigue using a lighter dumbbell. All right, Judy, let's take that one all the way down. 1 more rep. Good. Now down and feel the stretch and pick up the dumbbells in front of you. Put that one down. She's picking up another set of dumbbells that are about 20% less than the second one. Let's take that up. Isn't that amazing? You're now using about 50% of what you started with, and you can feel it in your shoulders, can't you?
Yes, I can.
So she's getting a lot of good exercise, a lot of good training to that shoulder, and not using very heavy resistance. And that's why, one of the reasons why the quick set system is such an efficient and safe way to train. Okay, Judy, we're going to move on to the hips and legs. We're now training Judy's hips. I mentioned to you that in hip training, we want to try to get to the outer part of the hip as well as the inner part of the hip. Well, this particular exercise is known as a leg abduction. It involves the muscles of the hip that really work this side of the leg. We're not only working the hip muscle, the muscle right under the gluteus maximus, but we're also working the vastus lateralis, which is one of the large muscles of the upper thigh. It's a real simple exercise, and all I'm asking her to do is come up against this resistance, and then when I push down, she resists me on the way back. So we're using the muscles of the hip on the way up, and if she resists me on the way down, the muscles of the hip on the way down. So it's a very efficient way of training the hips. And of course, we're using 10 to 15 repetitions. Starting to feel the resistance there, Judy?
I sure do.
And we use 10 to 15 repetitions since it's a lower body exercise. And of course, once we get to momentary fatigue, we're going to have Judy turn over to the other side. I'll go to the other side of the mat, and we'll do her left hip. A simple exercise called a leg or hip abduction, a great way to train your hips. We're training Judy's quadriceps right now, the muscles in the front of her thigh. She's already at number 11. Very good, Judy. And you can start, it's starting to be challenging, isn't it?
It sure
is. And I've recorded the amount of weight that she can do. That's number 12 on her card. And we'll put the number of repetitions she does to momentary fatigue just below that number so we keep track of it. All right, Judy, that's number 13. Let's see if we can reduce the weight. Because she's gotten to momentary fatigue, I've asked Judy to reduce the weight by about 25 or 30%, which she does by changing the position of the pin in the weight stack. And now, even though this is a much lighter weight than she was using just about 60 seconds ago when she started, it's still very challenging. She's going to do about 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7 repetitions until she really starts to feel some fatigue in her quads. She'll stop again. She'll reduce the weight yet again and do her next quick set. Now, as I mentioned before, remember, if you're just starting out, just 1 set per exercise. The quick set system shouldn't really be tried by someone who has not been working out for a while until you've been working out for maybe about 4 to 6 weeks. That initiation phase we talked about in some earlier shows. Now, as Judy completes her quads, as soon as she's finished here, I record that number, and we're going to move on to train the back of her thighs doing leg curls. We're going to finish up Judy's workout today by training the back of her thigh or her hamstrings. That way we will have been able to train both her hips and her legs. Judy, let's go ahead and put you in the machine. Now we need to do a couple of adjustments here. we have to adjust this for the length of your lower limb, and that looks like a medium setting. And also here, Judy, we've already preset the back so that it's moved all the way up so that the base of the back pad is touching just on the base of her low back. And then, Judy, with this one, we pop this down and we load your leg in so that you're nice and stable. Okay, we've chosen the weight that she can do about 10 to 15 times. Let's go ahead and start, Judy. Does that feel about right? Okay.
I think so.
Okay, up under control. Now you notice we have her in the machine so that her knee is rotating right around the axis of rotation. That's exactly where we want her to be. That's how you set yourself up in a selectorized machine. Whatever muscle you're using, we always want the axis of rotation right across the joint around which that muscle helps to articulate. And here we are. We're at about 5 or 6 repetitions. If she gets to at least 10, this is a good amount of weight. If she does a lot more than 15, this weight or resistance is probably a little bit too light. Judy, where are we now?
We're at 7.
Okay. Now it's starting to go a little bit more. There you go. We're at about 8 repetitions. You can start to see a little bit of fatigue is setting in. And then in this case, that's actually a good thing. 9. Let's see, can you get at least one more?
Let's go for one more.
Okay, one more. There we go. That's 10 repetitions. Okay, all the way out, and notice she's getting a good stretch out of the back of her hamstrings. Judy, if you lean over, we're going to drop it by 1 plate, which reduces the resistance by about 33% in this case, and she immediately starts in with that second set, which is quick set number 2. On her card, I'm going to record the amount of weight she did on the very first set, and I'm also going to put down 10 repetitions, which is the number of repetitions she was able to complete to momentary fatigue. So that's already recorded, and next time we'll know exactly what weight to use and how many repetitions becomes her goal for that particular workout. All right, Judy, what's that, about 5 or 6? Starting to get a little challenging?
I can feel those hamstrings.
Okay, let's try one more, and let's reduce it one more time. All right, let's drop the weight one more time. And remember, for those of you who haven't worked out in a while, 1 set per exercise. And after about 4 or 5 weeks, we can start adding those quick sets to really pump up that exercise for you and really get those muscles stronger. And you also notice that Judy's always working through a full range of motion. She doesn't stop short. She comes all the way back out and makes sure that she stretches that hamstring tendon so she doesn't lose any flexibility. A great way to train. So Judy, we've completed your chest, shoulders, upper back, hips, and legs. And we've completed that in 23 minutes. How do you feel?
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, and this is a way, using the quick set system, that we can do all the major muscle groups in Judy's body, and she can get out of the fitness center in a short period of time. So we've used dumbbells. We've used manual resistance. We've used machines. There's lots of ways to train those muscles, and getting a hold of a good personal trainer and a good program is the way for you to get started on yours. And by gaining lean body mass, you're going to lose fat. And that's for you, especially ladies. Gaining lean body mass is the magic bullet in helping to lose fat weight. So there you have it. A simple, safe, and effective way to train using the quick set system and all the major muscle groups in a brief period of time. Judy, great workout.
Thanks, Dr. Paul.
So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We gave you a little segment earlier on nutrition, and I got a chance to cook for you, which I really enjoyed, and I hope we can do that again soon. We talked about nutrient density. Remember, high nutrition levels, low calories is really the way to go. And we showed you that we can get you through a workout in a very brief period of time. You can use machines, you can use dumbbells, you can use barbells, you can even use manual resistance exercise, just the way I trained Judy's lateral hip. It's a great way to work out, and the quick set system is the safe, effective, and efficient way to get your workout done. I'm glad you enjoyed today's show. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time on Be Fit, Stay Fit America.